Here we have a SAT math question. There is a square root equation given over here. What is the solution set of the equation above? Okay, whenever I want to solve for a variable x in a square root equation, my first work is to isolate the square root part. Okay, first let me write the given equation as it is. That is square root of 2x positive 6 positive 4 equals to x positive 3. Okay, now let me isolate this square root part. For that, I have to get rid of this positive 4. Okay, to get rid of the positive 4, I have to subtract 4 from both sides. So when I subtract 4 from both sides, the positive 4, negative 4 will cancel out. Then I'm getting square root of 2x positive 6 on the left side. On the right side, I'm having x. And when I combine this positive 3 and negative 4, I'm getting negative 1. Okay, now I have to get rid of the square root we have on the left side. To get rid of the square root, what I need to do is I have to square both sides. So when I square both sides, this square root and square will cancel out. I'm getting 2x positive 6 on the left side. Now this x negative 1 whole square can be written as x negative 1 times x negative 1. Okay, then we get 2x positive 6 equals to, so now let's multiply these two binomials using FOIL method. That is, first we have to multiply the first terms, that is x times x is x square. Now I have to multiply the outer terms, x times negative 1 is negative x. Now let's multiply the inner terms, negative 1 times x is negative x. Now let's multiply the last terms of the two binomials, negative 1 times negative 1, it will become positive 1. So then I'm getting 2x positive 6 equals to x square negative 2x positive 1. Okay, now we have a quadratic equation with the variable x. Okay, so if I want to solve this quadratic equation, first I have to write this quadratic equation in standard form. So that is ax square positive bx positive c equals to 0. So writing quadratic equation in standard form means we have to get everything on one side of the equation. On the other side of the equation, we must have 0. So now in this one, so to get this quadratic equation in standard form, we have to get everything on the left side. So on the other side, it has to be 0. So let me subtract 2x and 6 from both sides. Let me do it. So when I do so, this positive value, negative value will cancel out and we get 0 on the left side. And now I'm getting x square negative 4x negative 5. Okay, now we have a quadratic equation standard form. So we have 0 on the left side. So now what I'm going to do is in my next step, I'm going to write this 0 on the right side. So then I'm getting x square negative 4x negative 5 equals to 0. Okay, I think this quadratic equation can be solved by factoring. So to solve this quadratic equation by factoring, we have to multiply the constant of negative 5 by the coefficient of x square, which is 1. 1 times negative 5 is negative 5. Okay, now I have to get two factors for negative 5. So that the product of the two factors equals to negative 5. And the sum of the two factors equals to the coefficient of x negative 4. I think positive 1 and negative 5 will work. When I multiply positive 1 and negative 5, I'm getting negative 5. So when I combine positive and negative 5, I'm getting the coefficient of x, which is negative 4. Okay, now to get the two values of x from these two factors, I have to divide both the factors by the coefficient of x square. That is 1 in this case. So when I divide this, these two factors, positive and negative 5 by 1, the coefficient of x square, still I'm getting the same value, positive 1 and negative 5. Okay, now to get the two values for x, I have to change the sign of each of these two factors. So the first factor is positive 1. So if I change the sign over here, it will become negative 1. So the first value I'm getting for x is negative 1. If I change the sign of this negative 5, it will become positive 5. Okay, now I got the two values for this quadratic equation. So negative 1 and 5. So now what we'll do is we'll check which of the solution sets in the options contains these two values, negative 1 and 5. So in option C, the set we have in option C contains the negative 1 and positive 5. So immediately we will choose option C as the right answer. But so we have to be very careful when we solve quadratic equation. So because the values we get in the last step may not work. All the values we get in the last step for the variable may not work with the equation. So we have to verify all the values we get for x over here. That is, we have to check the values negative 1 and positive 5 with the given quadratic equation. So how can we check? So it's very simple. We just have to plug in x equals to negative 1 into the given equation and verify whether the equation is satisfied by this value in x equals to negative 1. Okay, now let me plug in x equals to negative 1 into the given equation. So then I'm getting, let me write x equals to negative 1. So square root of, so when I plug in x equals to negative 1 over here, 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, positive 6. Then we have positive 4. On the right side, when I plug in negative 1 for this x over here, it will be negative 1, positive 3. So then I'm getting square root of 4 because when I combine negative 2, positive 6, positive 4. And on the right side, when I combine negative 1, positive 3, I'm getting 2. So we know that square root of 4 is just 2. 2 positive 4 equals to 2. Then I'm getting 6 equals to 2. So it's a false statement. That is, when I plug in x equals to negative 1 into the given equation, the equation is not satisfied. So by this value, negative 1. So the negative 1 is not a solution for the given equation. Okay, now let me verify the second solution, that is x equals to 5. That is, we have to plug in x equals to 5 into the given square root equation. So when I plug in x equals to 5 over here, 2 times 5 is 10. That is square root of 10, positive 6, positive 4 equals to, on the right side, I plug in x equals to 5, then I'm getting 5, positive 3. So then I'm getting square root of 16, positive 4 equals to 8. So square root of 16 is just 4, positive 4 equals to 8. Then 8 equals to 8. Okay, it's a true statement. So the given square root equation is satisfied by the second solution, but that is the second value of x, that is 5. So 5 is the only solution for the given square root equation. So now we have to identify the set in the given options which contains 5. So the set in option B contains 5. So the correct answer choice for this question is option B.